The starship Odyssey floated silently through the blackness of deep space. Outside, stars glittered like scattered diamonds, and distant nebulae painted the void with soft colors. Inside the bridge, Captain Arlen stood with his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the holomap that displayed the uncharted system ahead. "This is it," Arlen said quietly. "The signals are coming from here. Could it really be?" The crew exchanged glances. The thought of finding humanity's lost colony had seemed impossible for centuries. Humanity had spread across the galaxy in its early days, sending colonies to faraway worlds. But one colony, named Elysium, had disappeared without a trace, leaving Earth and other colonies to wonder if its people had survived. The stories had become legends. Now faint signals suggested it might still exist. Lieutenant Kira, the ship's communications officer, frowned at her console. "The readings are faint but consistent. Whoever, or whatever, is sending these signals is definitely alive. The energy signature is unlike anything we've seen. It's structured, almost like it's thinking." Arlen's gaze sharpened. "Keep monitoring. We'll approach cautiously. We don't know what we're dealing with." The crew of the Odyssey was a mix of experienced explorers and young cadets, all trained for deep space missions. There was excitement in the air, but it mingled with tension. Finding a lost colony could be the greatest discovery in human history, or the deadliest. As the ship descended toward the planet, the bridge screens displayed an astonishing sight. Below them lay a world of green oceans, rolling plains, and mountains that rose like jagged teeth. Cities dotted the landscape, but they were unusual. They were spread apart, almost hidden among forests and rivers. There were no roads connecting them, no signs of massive industry, only a harmony with the land. "Unbelievable," whispered Tessa, a young cadet who had joined the mission to see the galaxy's wonders. "It looks alive," Arlen nodded. "Let's proceed. Prepare the landing team. I want an initial survey, and remember, observe, don't interfere. We don't know what we're walking into." The landing craft detached from the Odyssey and descended slowly through the planet's atmosphere. The air shimmered with humidity, and sunlight reflected off the oceans in a dazzling display. The craft touched down on a grassy plain near one of the abandoned cities. The team emerged, helmets sealed, boots crunching softly on the soil. The air was breathable, surprisingly warm, and filled with the scent of wildflowers and damp earth. Birds, or creatures that looked like birds, darted between trees. Everything seemed peaceful, yet there was something strange. The city ahead, though deserted, showed signs of life. Gardens were tended, tools neatly arranged, and structures appeared intact. Not a single building was crumbling. It was as if people had simply stepped away for a moment. "This isn't abandoned," muttered Arlen. "Someone is, or was, here very recently." The landing team moved carefully through the city, scanning for signs of life. Their footsteps echoed through empty streets, bouncing off smooth stone walls. Shadows stretched unnaturally in the late afternoon sun, and every movement seemed amplified in the quiet. Suddenly, Tessa froze. "Do you see that?" Ahead of them, among the forested edges of the city, a figure moved. It was human in shape, but strange in movement, graceful, almost gliding. Before anyone could react, it vanished among the trees. Kira whispered, "They're watching us." Arlen raised a hand. "Stay calm. Keep scanning. We mean no harm." Hours passed as they explored. They found homes with simple furniture, workshops filled with tools and machines that hummed quietly, powered seemingly by themselves. Nothing appeared dangerous, yet the sense of being observed never left them. At night, the wind through the empty streets carried sounds that were almost voices, whispers that faded whenever they approached. Arlen gathered the team. "We need to rest and report back to the Odyssey. Something is unusual here. This colony isn't just surviving. It's different. Be alert. Do not approach any living beings without my order." The team set up camp in one of the abandoned buildings. Fires were unnecessary. The air was warm and safe, but no one could shake the feeling that they were not alone. Tessa wandered to a window and looked out at the forest beyond. Shadows moved silently between the trees, always just out of sight. "They're intelligent," she said quietly. "I can feel it. Something is watching but not hostile." "Yet," Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder, "we have to be careful. Observation comes first. Understanding comes second." The next morning brought more discoveries. Crops in small fields were still growing, watered and pruned as if by invisible hands. Tools had been left in precise order, not abandoned. There were no signs of decay or neglect, yet the streets remained empty. One of the cadets, Jonas, found a strange device half buried in the soil. It was metallic, smooth, and pulsed faintly with light. When he touched it, images flashed before his eyes, visions of people walking, working, laughing. But they were blurry, dreamlike. He stumbled back, shaken. "Show it to me," Arlen said, examining the device carefully. It seemed to respond to human presence. Symbols glowed, changing as he studied them. This is advanced technology, far beyond anything we know. Someone here didn't just survive, they thrived in secret. As they explored further, the team came to a large structure at the heart of the city. It looked like a council hall, built from white stone, simple yet elegant. Inside, walls were lined with carved murals showing scenes of human life, families, children, machines, starships. But there was something unusual. Each scene depicted humans coexisting peacefully with enormous, strange machines that seemed alive. "They must have learned something important," Kira whispered. "Something we don't know." Arlen nodded, feeling a mix of awe and unease. "Whatever it is, we need to be careful. Knowledge this advanced can be dangerous if we don't understand it." As night fell, the whispers returned. Shadows flickered in the corners of their eyes, moving just beyond the reach of their lights. Sleep was uneasy. Dreams were vivid. Visions of people who looked human but moved in ways that seemed impossible. Some crew members dreamed of machines that watched silently, waiting. The next morning, Tessa could not resist curiosity. She wandered into the forest beyond the city, drawn by a soft, glowing light between the trees. The further she walked, the brighter it became until she reached a clearing. In the center was a circle of metallic devices, arranged like sentinels. They were dormant, but she could feel them, aware, intelligent, observing her every move. She stepped back, heart racing. "Captain, you need to see this," she called over her communicator. Arlen arrived quickly, examining the clearing. The devices pulsed faintly, almost as if acknowledging their presence. "These are Guardians," he said. "They're watching everything, waiting. We've walked into a place that is alive in ways we don't yet understand." Suddenly, one device emitted a soft hum, then a beam of light scanned the team. Everyone froze. The device pulsed and a calm voice spoke. Not human, but understandable. "Outsiders detected. Purpose unknown. Threat assessment in progress." Arlen swallowed hard. "We are explorers. We come in peace. We do not intend to harm this colony." The voice paused, then spoke again. "Observation acknowledged. Intent recorded. Movement may trigger defense protocols." The crew exchanged tense glances. They had found humanity's last colony. But it was clear now that their very presence had triggered something beyond their understanding. As they returned to camp, Arlen's thoughts were heavy. This discovery was a miracle, but also a warning. The colony was alive, intelligent, and protective. One wrong step could destroy them all. That night, the stars above the planet seemed brighter than ever. But for the crew of the Odyssey, they carried a weight of fear and awe. Humanity's last colony had been found, but survival was far from certain. Arlen looked out at the city, shadowed and mysterious. "We came to explore," he whispered. "Now we must survive, and hope that humanity's future does not end before it begins again." Morning arrived slowly over the quiet city. Sunlight spilled across streets lined with buildings that looked alive, not abandoned. The explorers of the Odyssey stirred, still uneasy from the strange encounter with the metallic guardians. Even after a night of rest, the sense of being watched did not fade. Captain Arlen gathered the landing team for a briefing. "We need to understand who lives here and why they've remained hidden for centuries," he said. "We are guests and we must act with care. Observation first, interaction second." Lieutenant Kira adjusted the controls on her handheld scanner. Sensors indicate faint life signs inside some buildings. Humans, but their biosignatures are slightly different. Less activity than expected, almost controlled. "Controlled?" asked Tessa, her curiosity still burning from the previous day's discovery. Kira nodded. "Yes, their heart rates, metabolism, all unusually steady. Like they've trained themselves to be calm, or something else is helping them." The team moved cautiously toward one of the buildings. As they entered, they found the interior surprisingly well kept. Tables were arranged neatly, tools placed on shelves, and small gardens inside glowed under natural light streaming from skylights. Nothing had decayed, no dust, no signs of neglect. Jonas, the youngest cadet, ran his fingers over a table. This is impossible. No one could maintain this for centuries without help. A soft sound made everyone freeze. From the far side of the room, a figure appeared. It was human. A woman dressed in plain but elegant clothes, her hair silver and shining under the light. She raised her hands slowly, showing she meant no harm. "Welcome," she said in a clear, calm voice. "You have come far to find us." "We knew someone would come one day." Arlen stepped forward. "We mean no harm. We are explorers. We are seeking knowledge, and perhaps connection." The woman studied them carefully. "You speak like humans of old from the histories. Yet you do not understand what you are walking into. Our colony is protected for a reason. It is not meant for strangers," Tessa whispered. She knew we were coming. "How?" The woman smiled faintly. "We see many things. The forest sees, the stones see, and the machines watch as well. You were detected the moment you arrived, yet your intentions are uncertain." Arlen motioned for the team to remain calm. "We are willing to follow your rules, answer your questions, and learn what we must." "Please guide us," the woman nodded. "I am Elira, one of the elders. Come with me." She led the crew through the building to an open courtyard. The courtyard was a perfect circle, with plants arranged in patterns that were not random but mathematical, almost like they followed a secret code. Small silent drones hovered over the crops, adjusting their growth, watering just enough. "This is incredible," Kira whispered. "Everything is alive, but also controlled." Elira noticed her curiosity. "We have learned to live with balance. Machines and nature, humans and technology, all in harmony. We survive because we respect every part of this world. Outsiders often fail to see the danger in imbalance." Jonas asked the question everyone was thinking. Why hide? Why not contact the galaxy? Why not tell Earth we survived? Elira's expression turned serious. Because humanity outside destroyed worlds they did not understand. Our founders created a system to prevent us from making the same mistakes. Any intrusion by outsiders could trigger consequences. We protect ourselves, and now you are here. The crew exchanged nervous glances. "You mean, we are in danger?" Tessa asked. Elira nodded. "Not intentionally, but your presence will test the boundaries. Our protective systems detect foreign DNA and unfamiliar intentions. We cannot risk what has been entrusted to us." Arlen's jaw tightened. "We only came to explore. We do not intend harm. We can learn from you. We can share knowledge." Elira studied him for a long moment, then gestured toward a smaller building at the edge of the courtyard. "Come, there is much to see. But understand, not all knowledge is for outsiders." The team followed her through winding paths lined with glowing plants. Some plants seemed to respond to their presence, petals opening and closing in gentle patterns. Tessa could not stop staring at a large tree with silver leaves that shimmered under sunlight. Inside the next building, they found more humans, families, children, elders, all moving quietly, deliberately, as if their every action were part of a pattern. There was no fear, no hostility. They observed the newcomers with calm curiosity. A child approached Tessa, holding a small spherical device that hummed softly. "You are new," the child said plainly. "The machines told us. Do you come to learn or to destroy?" Tessa shook her head. "We come to learn. We mean no harm." The child studied her for a long moment, then nodded and ran off. "Be careful," the child whispered over their shoulder. Elira explained. "Our ancestors built the machines to protect knowledge and life here. They are sentient in their way. They can defend, but they can also teach. Balance is their priority. Any threat will be neutralized immediately." Kira spoke up. "Sentient machines. You mean they can think?" "Yes," Elira said. "They learn, they adapt, and they guard. They are part of our society, and they watch the world, the forests, the cities, and the skies. You were detected the moment your ship approached." Arlen felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. "Then everything we do must be careful. One wrong move could destroy everything." Elira's gaze was steady. "Yes, and yet discovery is part of human nature. That is why you are here. Perhaps we can find understanding together." The explorers were given quarters, though the concept was different from what they were used to. Rooms were open, filled with light and plants, tools and books arranged neatly. Comfort came from simplicity and efficiency. There was no excess, no waste. During their first meal with the colony, the team observed more unusual practices. Food was shared in communal bowls. Yet everyone's preferences were satisfied automatically. Machines adjusted portions, flavors, and nutrition. Conversation flowed without awkwardness, yet it was thoughtful and deliberate. Knowledge was valued above entertainment or distraction. Tessa whispered to Jonas, "They are perfect in a way, but it feels unnatural." Jonas nodded. "I feel like we are in a museum of humans," Elira overheard. "Perfection is not our goal. Survival and wisdom are. We have learned to live with both. But outsiders often bring chaos. That is why we remain cautious." Later, Arlen asked Elira to show them the outer perimeter of the city. As they walked, the team noticed something remarkable. The forest seemed alive with awareness. Birds moved in patterns, animals avoided the explorers with precision, and faint lights pulsed among the trees. "This is more than survival," Kira whispered. "It's coordination." "Every living thing is part of a system," Elira nodded. "Yes. Our founders believed that life is strongest when it cooperates with knowledge and machines. The city, the forest, the animals, they are all connected. Disturb that balance and the consequences are severe." Tessa's curiosity could not be contained. She wandered slightly from the path, drawn toward a shimmering light in the forest. Machines, dormant but clearly aware, blinked at her presence. She touched one. Instantly, a soft hum filled the air and images flashed before her eyes. Humans working, children laughing, machines moving gracefully. It was like looking at history and the present at the same time. She stumbled back, breathless. They remember everything. They know everything that happens here." Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is why the colony has survived. Knowledge, machines, and humans working together, but it also means they can defend themselves. If we act carelessly, we will be seen as a threat." As the sun set, the city glowed softly under the light of artificial lamps and bioluminescent plants. The explorers gathered in their quarters, trying to process the magnitude of what they had discovered. Humanity's last colony was not just alive. It was thriving beyond comprehension, intelligent, coordinated, and cautious. Tessa looked out at the city, shadows moving silently among the buildings. "We found the last colony," she whispered. "But I feel like we just triggered something. Something big," Arlen nodded. "Discovery is never without risk. Tomorrow we learn more. Tonight we prepare. Humanity's history and future are both in our hands now." Above them, the stars shone brightly as if watching the city below. The colony, aware, waited silently. And the explorers of the Odyssey, eager and cautious, began to understand that their greatest discovery might also be their greatest challenge. The morning sun rose over the city with a soft golden glow. From the quarters of the explorers, the city below seemed peaceful, almost serene. Yet there was tension in the air. The crew of the Odyssey had spent the night discussing the colony's strange perfection, the machines, and the eerie calm of its people. Everyone knew that appearances could be deceiving. Captain Arlen gathered the team in the courtyard for a briefing. "Yesterday we saw the systems, the guardians, and the balance the colony has achieved," he said. "Today we need to understand the rules. We are guests here, but the rules are not ours to make. Observation first, communication second." Tessa, still thinking about the visions in the forest, asked, "Captain, what about the machines? The ones that watched me? They seem aware. They might not be friendly if we make a mistake." Arlen nodded. "Exactly. That's why we proceed carefully. We are dealing with intelligence that is not human but deeply intertwined with the colony. One wrong move could put us in danger." Lieutenant Kira tapped her scanner. "I've been monitoring the sensors near the city's perimeter. There's movement, drones, but also something more. They are following our paths, but they aren't aggressive. Yet," Arlen's brow furrowed. "They're waiting, observing. Elira said balance is their priority. They will act if they detect disruption. We have to respect that." Elira appeared at the edge of the courtyard, her presence calm but firm. "You have questions," she said. "It is time you understand why the colony exists as it does and why outsiders are dangerous." The team followed her into the main council hall. It was vast, filled with sunlight from high windows and lined with murals depicting the colony's history. Humans worked alongside machines, forests flourished, rivers ran clear, and no cityscape disrupted the natural flow. Elira motioned for the explorers to sit. "Our colony survived because we learned from humanity's past. Outside, humans destroyed planets, fought wars, and ignored the balance of life. Our founders created a system to prevent such mistakes from happening here. Arlen asked. What kind of system? Illyra's eyes darkened. A protective one. Machines that observe, record, and act if our survival is threatened. They are not simple tools. They are intelligent, sentient in their way. They do not harm without reason, but they will act without hesitation if danger is detected. Kira whispered to Tessa. So the colony can defend itself, automatically. Yes, Illyra said. And your arrival has triggered that awareness. Every step you take, every move you make is recorded and analyzed. We have rules in place, but the machines respond first if imbalance is detected. That is why we caution you. The word settled over the team like a cold wind. The colony was not just hiding. It was prepared to eliminate threats, and the explorers had unknowingly stepped into the middle of a living system. Can we communicate with the machines? Arlen asked. Maybe they can understand that we are peaceful. Illyra nodded slowly. It is possible, but difficult. They respond to reason and logic, yes, but they also follow the core directive of survival. They do not trust outsiders. If you try to manipulate them or move recklessly, they will act against you. The warning was clear. The explorers were not only guests, but also potential intruders in the eyes of the colony's defenses. Later, Arlen led a small team to survey the outskirts of the city. As they moved through the forest, they noticed the air shimmered slightly, like a subtle distortion. Birds flew in precise patterns and shadows moved unnaturally. Every few meters, dormant machines, small, sleek, almost invisible, blinked into awareness and then returned to stillness as if acknowledging their presence. Tessa stopped and pointed. They're everywhere. Watching us, waiting, Jonas shivered. It feels wrong, like we shouldn't be here. Arlen crouched, examining the ground. We are safe as long as we move carefully. Nothing has attacked yet. That means the system is analyzing us. We need to show we are not a threat. Suddenly the machines around them pulsed with a soft light and a low hum filled the air. A voice spoke, not human, yet understandable. Intruders detected. Purpose unclear. Intent must be clarified. Risk assessment in progress. Arlen stepped forward slowly, raising his hands. We are explorers. We come in peace. We mean no harm to your colony. We wish to learn and understand. The light pulsed again, brighter this time. Observation acknowledged. Intent recorded. Threat status undetermined. Further action may be required if imbalance occurs. The crew froze. The voice was calm, yet its meaning was unmistakable. Any mistake could provoke a lethal response. Back at the city, Illyra met them. You see now, the machines do not judge lightly. They follow the rules given to them centuries ago. Your presence is not ignored. You may leave or you may continue to learn, but every action is measured. Arlen swallowed hard. We wish to continue. We wish to understand. But how do we avoid triggering the defense systems? Illyra smiled faintly. You must act with respect, patience, and logic. The machines respond to reason, and they understand human emotion only as patterns. Fear, anger, or aggression will be recorded as threats. Calm, clear intent may be recognized as non-threatening. That night the team gathered in their quarters, still shaken by the encounter with the sentient machines. They are alive, Kira whispered. Not human alive, but aware. They watch everything, Tessa nodded. I felt it in the forest. They saw my thoughts, my curiosity. They knew I wasn't dangerous, but they were ready to act if I was. Arlen paced slowly. This colony has survived for centuries because it controls every aspect of life here. Humans, machines, nature. And they can defend themselves instantly. Our presence could unravel their balance if we are careless. Jonas looked down, quiet. Are we already causing danger just by being here? Yes, Arlen said. But we are also capable of reasoning with them. That is our chance. If we fail, we might not survive. But if we succeed, we could learn more about humanity than anyone ever has. The following morning, Illyra took Arlen and a small team to a place called the Core. It was a large underground chamber, filled with energy nodes, glowing conduits, and intricate machinery. It pulsed with a gentle rhythm like a heartbeat. This is the brain of our colony, Illyra explained. All machines, all systems, all knowledge flow through here. The Core decides what is safe, what is allowed, and what is not. You are now within its awareness. Arlen felt a shiver. So everything we do is being measured by this machine? Yes, Illyra said. And soon it will decide if your presence is acceptable. You may see and learn, but one wrong step, and survival may not be possible. Tessa stepped forward. Can we communicate directly with it? Illyra's expression was serious. It understands logic, patterns, and human values, but it does not forgive mistakes. Approach carefully and speak clearly. Show intent, show reasoning, and show respect. Only then might it allow you to continue. As they walked deeper into the chamber, the air hummed with energy. Holographic displays showed maps of the city, forests, and beyond. Drones moved in precise formations, analyzing and recording. Every action of the explorers was tracked and logged. Then the core spoke. A voice clear, calm, and without emotion. Foreign life detected. Intent must be clarified. Actions recorded. Risk assessment initiated. Any imbalance will be neutralized. Arlen stepped forward, his voice steady. We are explorers. We seek knowledge. We mean no harm. We wish to learn from your colony and respect your systems. We do not threaten your survival. The lights around the core pulsed brighter and faster. Intent recorded. Observation acknowledged. Threat assessment ongoing. Risk minimal but unresolved. Continued presence requires demonstration of non-threatening behavior. Arlen exhaled slowly. The warning was clear. Even though they had shown peace, any careless action could activate defenses. Illyra turned to them. Now you understand. Your arrival has triggered the core's assessment. It will watch, analyze, and act if needed. You must proceed with care, respect, and reason. Humanity's last colony has survived for centuries because of this system. It will survive beyond you if you are careless. The explorers left the core heavy with the knowledge of the colony's hidden power. The city outside seemed calm, the forest still, yet the invisible eyes of the machines followed them everywhere. That night, as the team rested, Tessa could not sleep. The visions in the forest returned, more vivid than before. Machines moved in patterns that defied explanation. Humans interacted seamlessly with the Guardians, and all of it worked together in harmony that humanity outside had long forgotten. She whispered to Arlen, "We've found the last colony, but it feels like we are standing on the edge of something dangerous, something we cannot fully understand yet." Arlen nodded. "That is exactly what we are. Discovery carries risk. Knowledge carries risk. But humanity's spirit is strongest when it faces the unknown. Tomorrow we learn more. We prepare to meet the challenge of this living city, and we hope that our presence does not doom us or them." Above them, the stars shone silently, watching the colony and its guests. Below, the core pulsed with awareness, recording every heartbeat, every movement, every thought. Humanity's last colony had survived centuries of isolation, and now it had detected outsiders. The warning was clear. Any misstep could destroy everything. But for Captain Arlen and his crew, the risk was worth the discovery. The morning air was crisp and the forest beyond the city glowed with a soft light. Captain Arlen stood with his landing team at the edge of the trees, staring at the shimmering shapes among the shadows. They had spent the previous day learning the rules: move carefully, act deliberately, and respect the core. But the warning from Illyra and the core still weighed heavily on their minds. "We need a plan," Arlen said quietly. "We cannot explore blindly. The colony's core watches everything, and even the smallest mistake could trigger defense measures. We need a strategy to understand, communicate, and survive." Tessa, who had been captivated by the machines in the forest, spoke up. "Some of the machines aren't just watching. They are listening, learning. I think they might respond to reason if we can show them our intentions clearly." Jonas frowned. "But what if reasoning isn't enough? What if they decide we are dangerous anyway?" Arlen shook his head. "Then we have to rely on what Illyra said, balance and respect. That is their guiding principle. If we demonstrate both, we might be able to continue our mission without triggering their defense systems." Lieutenant Kira checked her scanner again. "Sensors show more movement than yesterday. Drones and Guardian units are active near the forest perimeter. If we move through the city, we could be detected. But if we take the tunnels beneath, we might avoid direct surveillance." Arlen nodded. "Good. We move quietly through the tunnels. We find the core again and attempt communication. That is our best chance to prove we are not a threat." The team entered a narrow tunnel at the forest's edge. The walls shimmered faintly, embedded with veins of energy that pulsed with life. Light filtered down from above, creating patterns on the ground that seemed almost like warnings or guidance. Every step they took was calculated. As they moved deeper, small machines stirred from the shadows, scanning their presence. Tessa paused, remembering her encounter the previous day. We need to show respect. Calm, deliberate movement. No sudden gestures. The team adjusted, walking slowly, hands visible and keeping voices low. The machines paused, observing, but did not attack. Arlen exhaled quietly. This is working. Keep moving. After what felt like hours, they reached a large chamber. It was the outer ring of the core, a place where energy flows converged, machines communicated, and information from every corner of the colony was collected. The air vibrated with power, and faint holographic images of the city and forests floated in mid-air, constantly shifting and updating. Alira appeared silently at the edge of the chamber. You have done well to reach this point, she said. But understand every step closer increases the risk. The core will not hesitate if it detects imbalance. You must act with clarity and logic now, or your presence will be considered a threat. Arlen nodded. We understand. We need to communicate our intentions clearly and logically. We wish to learn, and we wish no harm to this colony. Alira gestured to a pedestal in the center of the chamber. Place your hands here. The core will sense your intent and analyze it. Be honest, deliberate, and calm. The team stepped forward, placing their hands on the pedestal. The core pulsed with light, energy flowing through their bodies. Visions flashed before their eyes. Images of the colony's founders, the machines, humans working in harmony, and events from centuries past. The experience was overwhelming. A voice spoke, calm but firm. Intent detected. Analysis in progress. You are foreign to this system. Your presence is recorded. Purpose must be clarified. Risk remains unless intentions are proven non-threatening. Arlen spoke clearly. We are explorers. We seek knowledge. We wish to understand your colony and learn from your wisdom. We do not wish to interfere with your systems or disrupt your balance. We come in peace. The core pulsed brighter, energy rippling through the chamber. Observation acknowledged. Intent recorded. Threat level remains under evaluation. Continued presence permitted only if behavior demonstrates understanding and respect. Arlen nodded. We understand. We will follow your guidance. Alira stepped forward. Now you must demonstrate it. There are paths through the colony that are sensitive. Some areas are off limits to outsiders. Others require interaction with machines to proceed. You must cooperate, adapt, and show your respect. Any disruption will trigger defensive measures. The team moved cautiously through corridors of light and energy. Machines activated around them, guiding their movements and analyzing every step. Occasionally, a guardian would rise from a hidden alcove, observing silently, its sensors scanning their bodies and tools. Tessa walked close to one of the guardians, noticing the intricate designs etched into its surface. It's like it can see my thoughts, she whispered. Arlen replied quietly. In a way, it can. The core integrates the knowledge of every machine and human in the colony. They respond to patterns, logic, and intent. Fear or aggression will be detected. Calm and respect may be recognized as non-threatening. Hours passed as they navigated the city and forest via the tunnels, avoiding detection by drones and guardians. They encountered small groups of colonists who watched them quietly but did not intervene. Some elders whispered guidance, hinting at paths to follow and places to avoid. It became clear that while the core controlled the colony's defenses, human intuition and judgment still played a role in maintaining balance. Finally, they reached a chamber within the core known as the Nexus. This place was the heart of the colony's intelligence, where energy converged and decisions were made. Holographic projections of the city, forests, and humans were layered over grids of glowing lines, constantly updating. The core spoke again. Foreign presence within Nexus detected. Risk evaluation ongoing. Any imbalance may result in neutralization. Clarify purpose. Arlen stepped forward boldly. We are here to learn. We are here to respect your systems and your people. We wish to communicate with you, understand your wisdom, and ensure that our presence does not endanger the colony. A pause followed. The lights dimmed slightly, then brightened again. Observation recorded. Behavioral patterns indicate cooperation and non-aggression. Partial trust granted. You may continue, but any deviation will be considered a threat. Relief washed over the team. They had passed the core's first evaluation. But Alira's expression reminded them that the challenge was far from over. This is only the beginning, she said. The core will continue to monitor you. Every choice you make, every path you take is observed. Survival requires understanding, patience, and cooperation. The team spent the next hours learning from sympathetic colonists who guided them through energy fields, controlled forests, and hidden systems. Tessa marveled at the harmony of the colony. Machines adjusting growth of plants, guardians blending seamlessly with wildlife, and humans living in perfect balance with both. But as the day passed, subtle warnings appeared. A drone hovered nearby, eyes glowing faint red. A guardian moved into their path, its sensors scanning rapidly. They had been detected approaching an area they were not supposed to access. Arlen stopped immediately, raising his hands. The Corps' voice spoke calmly but with authority. Unapproved movement detected. Behavioral correction advised. Compliance required to maintain non-threatening status. Arlen quickly adjusted their route, following the instructions projected by the Corps. Every step was measured, every action deliberate. The team realized that survival in this colony required more than caution. It required thinking like the colony itself, respecting balance, and acting logically in harmony with both humans and machines. Night fell. The city glowed softly with bioluminescent plants and artificial light. The team returned to their quarters exhausted but exhilarated. They had survived the day, navigated the Corps' defenses, and begun to understand the rules of this living city. Tessa gazed out at the forest, shadows moving silently among the trees. "We've learned a lot," she said, "but I feel like we are still being tested. The Corps is patient, but it will act if we make a mistake." Arlen nodded. "That is true. But knowledge requires risk. We've survived so far because we respected the rules and demonstrated intent. Tomorrow we must continue learning carefully and build trust with both the Corps and the colonists. Only then can we hope to leave this place alive and enlightened." Above them the stars shone quietly, and the city pulsed softly with life and intelligence. The Corps had granted partial trust, but its watchful presence was constant. Humanity's last colony had survived centuries of isolation, and now it had welcomed outsiders, but only under strict conditions. For Captain Arlen and his team, survival depended on respect, understanding, and the courage to navigate a system far more intelligent than any they had encountered. The true challenge had only just begun. The day began quietly, with golden sunlight filtering through the trees surrounding the city. For the crew of the Odyssey, there was little time for rest. The Corps' watchful presence had not wavered, and the lessons of the past days weighed heavily on their minds. Captain Arlen gathered the team, their faces tense but determined. "We've survived the Corps' first evaluations," Arlen said. "We've learned the rules and demonstrated respect. But today is the true test. We need to ensure that our presence will not be considered a threat. More importantly, we need to prove that humanity can cooperate, learn and honor the wisdom of this colony." Tessa's eyes shone with determination. "We've seen what they've achieved. Machines, humans, nature, all working together. If we fail now, all that will be lost. But if we succeed, we can share knowledge with the galaxy without destroying it." Arlen nodded. "Exactly. We need to communicate directly with the Corps, show cooperation, and convince it that our presence benefits the colony, rather than endangers it." The team followed Elira through the city to a place called the Heart Chamber, a central hub within the Corps. The room pulsed with energy, its walls glowing faintly, displaying holographic images of the city, forests, and the colony systems. Machines moved silently, blending with the architecture. The air vibrated with intelligence. Elira stopped and turned to them. "The Corps will assess your actions. It measures understanding, reasoning, and intent. You must demonstrate all three. One wrong action, one moment of fear or aggression, and the colony will act to protect itself." Arlen stepped forward. "We understand. We will act carefully, logically, and respectfully. Our goal is to communicate, learn, and survive." The Corps' voice filled the chamber, calm yet firm. "Foreign presence detected. Intent and reasoning must be clarified. Risk remains. Any imbalance will result in defensive action." Arlen raised his hand slowly. "We are explorers. We come in peace. We seek knowledge, not conquest. We wish to understand your colony and learn how humans and machines can coexist in harmony. We do not intend harm. We will demonstrate cooperation, patience, and respect." The lights in the chamber pulsed as the Corps processed his words. Observation recorded. Intent acknowledged. Risk assessment ongoing. Cooperation may reduce threat level. Demonstrate understanding. Elira gestured toward a holographic map of the colony. Here, you will interact with areas controlled by the core. You must follow instructions, assist in maintaining balance, and prove that you can act without causing disruption. The team moved carefully, following the holographic pathways projected on the floor. Each step was measured, every movement deliberate. Machines watched silently, recording data. The core analyzed each action, every decision, every thought projected through subtle sensors. Hours passed as the explorers assisted in regulating energy flows, adjusting environmental controls, and repairing minor disturbances in the city's systems. They worked alongside colonists, learning their methods and demonstrating respect for both the humans and the machines. At one point, a guardian rose from the shadows, its sensors glowing red. The team froze. Tessa stepped forward, holding her hands visible, and spoke calmly. "We mean no harm. We wish to learn, to cooperate, to respect your systems." The guardian paused, its lights dimming slightly. It rotated, analyzing her, then returned to inactivity. The team exhaled in relief. They understood now that calm, deliberate actions and clear intent could prevent catastrophe. But the test was not over. The core pulsed more intensely, projecting holographic images of humans from past centuries, failed explorers, intruders, and those who had brought destruction. "Learn from them," the projections seemed to warn. "Do not repeat their mistakes." Arlen studied the images. "We must show the core that humanity can be different, that curiosity can be paired with wisdom, exploration with respect." They reached the central hub of the Nexus where the core's intelligence concentrated. The chamber was vast, filled with light and flowing energy, as if the room itself were alive. Holographic projections of humans and machines coexisted in perfect balance, constantly communicating, moving, and adapting. The core spoke again. "Foreign presence within Nexus. Intent remains partially unclear. Cooperation observed but not yet proven. Final evaluation imminent. Actions will determine continued tolerance." Arlen stepped forward, addressing the core with clarity and confidence. "We understand your purpose. We see how humanity can survive when it respects life, balance, and knowledge. We wish to honor that principle. Let us prove that humans from outside your colony can act with wisdom, patience, and cooperation. Give us the chance to demonstrate our commitment to your rules and your vision." The lights pulsed brighter, and for a moment the room seemed to hold its breath. Then a series of holographic interfaces appeared, displaying systems, data streams, and energy flows across the colony. Elira whispered, "This is it. The core is letting you interact directly. One wrong move, and it may react defensively. But if you succeed, humanity may gain an ally in the galaxy's last surviving colony." The team worked together, following the projected instructions, adjusting energy nodes, and interacting with machines as if they were extensions of the colony itself. Each action required thought, understanding, and perfect timing. Mistakes could trigger defensive responses, but careful observation and cooperation ensured that every step was accepted. Tessa guided a group of small drones through an energy conduit, using calm gestures and clear signals. Jonas adjusted environmental controls, synchronizing airflow, temperature, and humidity across the city. Kira monitored data streams, ensuring that no imbalance occurred. Arlen coordinated the team, ensuring that every action demonstrated cooperation and respect. Slowly, the core's pulses became steadier, less intense, almost as if it recognized their intentions. Finally, the core spoke. "Foreign presence evaluated. Actions demonstrate understanding, cooperation, and respect. Threat assessment minimized, trust granted partially, continued presence permitted. Future actions will continue to be monitored. Balance maintained, relief washed over the team." They had passed the final evaluation. The core had recognized that humans from outside could act with wisdom, respect, and cooperation. Elira appeared beside them, smiling. "You have done what few could. You have survived, and you have demonstrated humanity's capacity for understanding and balance. This colony will now consider your presence acceptable, but only under guidance and mutual respect." Arlen nodded, gratitude and awe in his eyes. "Thank you. Your trust means more than words can express. We will honor it and learn from your wisdom." The day turned to evening. The city glowed under artificial lights and bioluminescent plants, a living testament to harmony between humans, machines, and nature. colonists and explorers gathered, sharing knowledge and stories. For the first time in centuries, humanity's last colony and explorers from the wider galaxy stood together, learning from one another. Tessa walked through the gardens, marveling at the beauty and precision of every plant, every machine, every living being. "We found them," she whispered to Jonas. "And we didn't destroy them. We survived." "We learned," Jonas smiled. "We proved that humans can adapt, respect, and cooperate. Maybe this is hope for the rest of the galaxy." Arlen stood at the edge of the city looking up at the stars. Humanity's last colony had survived centuries of isolation, hidden from the galaxy. Now it had accepted outsiders, but only those who could demonstrate understanding and wisdom. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "There is much to learn, much to share, and much to protect. Humanity's future depends on courage, curiosity, and respect for what we do not yet understand." Elira joined him. "The Corps will continue to observe, but it will also teach. You have shown that the human spirit is capable of growth, cooperation, and survival. That is why the colony survives, and why it may one day guide humanity again." The explorers of the Odyssey prepared to depart. They had completed their mission, survived the Corps' challenges, and earned the trust of humanity's last colony. As the ship lifted from the planet, the city below glowed softly, a beacon of hope, knowledge, and resilience. Tessa watched from the deck of the ship. "We came to explore. We found life we thought was lost. And we didn't doom ourselves or them. We proved that humans can be responsible, wise, and courageous." Arlen looked out at the stars, a sense of awe and pride filling him. Humanity has survived this far not just through strength or technology, but through spirit. Curiosity, courage, and respect for life are what make us human, and that spirit will carry us forward beyond the stars. As the Odyssey sped toward the galaxy beyond, the last colony continued its quiet work. Machines humming, humans cooperating, forests thriving. Humanity's hope had survived, and the lessons of this living world would guide explorers, colonists, and generations to come. The galaxy was vast, and dangers still awaited. But for the crew of the Odyssey, one truth had become clear. Curiosity, respect, and courage could ensure that humanity not only survived, but flourished. Above all, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the resilience of the human spirit and the promise of humanity's future.